Instead of a night of darkness, we zoom in to the streets of Constantinople. We see a figure walking through the streets hurriedly. It is nearing nighttime, but not yet it. We see the figure walking clearly not kindred, clearly not Cainite, as he proceeds. Eventually, he reaches a sight, a look of frustration on his face. We hear him demand, "Where's Antonius? I need to know where Antonius is. Tell me." We see him rejected, walking away. It is now night as he approaches another figure. "Callias," the man says. "Callias, I can't find Antonius and no one is telling me why." Callias looks over at him and almost uncharacteristically offers a slight frown. "He's gone. That's all you need to know." The figure looks completely deflated. Again, we've established he's not Cainite, whoever this is. What do you mean gone? He can't be gone. I felt something. I felt it, but that's not possible. And Callias, once again, a sympathetic look. Not the kind that's simply a throwaway, but an actual look of pain himself. "You'll have to find someone else to keep you in this state if you wish to continue on." The figure looks confused, looks to Callias and says, "Perhaps it's you." Callias shakes his head. "No. Clan Ventru is very particular about its goals, keeping things as they ought to be." The figure looks frustrated. He says, "Who then? Who will take me? Septima? Caius? Who will take me then?" He shakes his head. "Duca, I can't say. That is for them to decide." And then Duca, this figure, says, What do you mean it's for them to decide? Who exactly, who did this? Why is Antonius gone?" Like a defensive guard dog, we see the hurt in his eyes. Callias shrugs. "As far as I'm concerned, they all did this to him." From that, we pan away to a hole perfectly shaped in the wall. And we see, peering through the other side, the eye of Clovis, adorned in his armor. As he watches, "Clovis, you were ordered to keep an eye on Callias and the others who supported Antonius. Make sure they weren't rousing some sort of rebellion. With his death, it's only inevitable that the iconoclast movement will end, and this attempt to raise some increased silence of the blood that would forever hold them at bay. You return to your sire now, just as he's taking the bandages off his face. You see, as he turns, the almost burned looking marks across his entire visage. And from his eyes and his nose and corners of his mouth is almost like a red, blood-like ichor, a dark blood that just seems to seep from all of his orifices. This is likely why he has his name. Bleeding Peter, is it? Peter, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, Bloody Peter, Bleeding Peter.
Bloody Peter. What do you have to report?
Not too much.
Callias seems to know that his master is no longer available. There was a ghoul that belonged to the former prefect. But I assume he will be picked up by in an attempt to keep things quiet.
Very likely. Good. The Drakon will be pleased.
I have done as you have asked.
Thus far. Thus far you have. You have new orders now.
How long must I keep this service? This curse you have placed upon me.
This service we all serve. As for how long, they call it an eternal curse for a reason. If you're lucky.
From what I have seen, Callias is certainly aware of his master's disappearance, but I do not think he knows the reason why. There was a ghoul he had met with. The ghoul seeking the blood of his former master, the prefect. Former prefect. I think it likely that Caius will return to scoop him up. At least in an attempt to keep things quiet. That is all I have seen so far.
That is plenty to start, and that's just it. This is a start. Any of those who were previously in Antonius's camp must be looked at and monitored. Since you've managed this much with Caius, I'm going to keep you focused on him for now. At least until he leaves here.
How long must I keep up this service, this curse you have placed upon me?
We all serve, Clovis. As for how long, it's called the Eternal Night for a reason. This is your curse, and you will wear it for eternity, so long as you are fortunate enough to keep it.
If it is my sin to bear, then so be it.
With that, we cut forward to one last moment as we see Clovis shrouded by the power of obfuscate, moving about the court of Constantinople. You watch as he moves with grace through the crowd. Did I say Caius? Callias. Sorry, my apologies. You see Callias moving through the crowd with grace. This is some sort of formal party at court. As he moves, others seem to simply either get out of his way or move to follow him. With their eyes, he's hard to ignore and yet intimidating to look at. We watch as he approaches Lady Irene of Athens, the mother of the Emperor Constantine the Sixth. But then his eyes turn, and there's that look. You've seen it before. You've met Toreador, and his eyes fixate, and they focus. And at that moment, as Clovis turns, he sees exactly what Callias is looking at as his eyes fixate on Sophia. And with that, we begin tonight, and we begin our return to 1 year later in Develtus. We're going to go ahead and go through a couple of things here as I get some music going too, because we are dead with music. One sec. So first off, I need everyone to kindly tell me what their road scores are. You don't have to tell me what your road is, but I do need your road scores because that determines at what point you wake up effectively. I imagine most of you are on humanity, but you don't have to tell me that.
I'm sitting pretty at 6, though I do have the light sleeper merit.
Noted.
I also have 8.
Okay. I'm going to approach this a few different ways. Let me just get the music set so it's not blasting people's ears off here. Right? Is that good?
Perfect.
Just Set to recur. Okay. So for Clovis, I'm going to get you to make a kind of like a perception and we'll just say alertness.
I'll say
What?
before that, as a note, I have the nightmares floor, so I need to make a willpower roll when I wake up.
Same here.
Okay, nightmares. Well, it looks like we might have 2 more minor vignettes to work with here. Okay. For Clovis.
I mean, I can give you an idea of what his is like.
I gotcha.
All right,
I gotcha.
go ahead.
Yeah. For Clovis, we watch as an armored man stands before an estate. The light of the estate being lit ablaze, engulfed in flame and inferno. We see Clovis bear down the sins of his own doing out of vengeance and retribution. But there's something here in this nightmare that he did not hear the night this happened. The screams of his younger sister, but a child. Clovis, remind me as you wake, and that will be not long after the others, to come back to you. For 80, what is the most traumatizing thing that you've experienced as 80?
It's really hard to pick just one.
Yeah, right?
I can, you know her story. There's several things that competing. Probably something about screams of her brother being killed, being taken by guards.
Indeed.
Being cornered by guards. Being brought to a lot.
I think we'll go with your brother's death. Does that sound fitting at this point? You remember the sounds of it, and that was frightening enough. Those stay with you. They remain in your head. What you didn't experience, however, is seeing it. But now you do. You watch as they grab him off the ground and pick him back up, holding him by the tuft of his hair of his head, and you watch as they run him through. How do you react to this? What is this for you?
In the dream, is this happening as if I'm there, or is this something I'm watching from a distance?
It's as if you're standing 2 feet away, 3 feet away from it, but unable to move.
She just screams, and tears of utter anguish, sobs that rack her entire body. And just the guilt.
Especially here, being this close. You weren't actually this close, were you? But right now, your nightmare, you're convinced you are, and yet you can't move. You can't do anything to stop it. Even your scream comes out like a whisper. And with that, we shift back to those who wake. We're going to go to Theodorus, who we haven't spent any moments with yet this session. The most fresh of well, maybe not true. Very fresh and very high in their path. A former priest, it sounds like. We see you rise. You notice almost instinctively that as you rise, the internal sense of the beast is warning you that the sun is still in the sky. And yet, peering to the edges of the door, it's clear that if there is sunlight, there's very little. Everything is very dark like night.
I think Theodorus, he wakes very slowly and with much concentration. Beginning moments of consciousness, he has to immediately take control himself, or else he fears something else will. Looking back from the where some light may have been seen, like you said, he turns to his hands, which both are inside of a pouch, as he lays there flat on the ground. And he removes his hands slowly. One holds the wooden cross that he wore around his neck, and now the other seems to be holding a handful of dirt, small stones and pebbles within. He gently brushes it off back into the pouch before rising. And he's going to immediately find a window or anything to look outside and do a few quiet prayers. That's how he starts most mornings.
While that's happening, at almost an identical time, we cut over to Sophia. As you wake, much the same to darkness. The beast inside you reminds you that it's daytime, and yet you wake. You haven't experienced that since being embraced. Callias remains asleep, clearly not being of the same level of road as you are. With that, we'll focus in on Sophia. What do you do as you wake?
Does she normally rise before Callias?
That's common, yep.
Okay. Then she probably has some practiced rhythm to her morning routine. Whether that's getting up and preparing their room for the day, or whatever sort of rituals help ground them and make the place seem a little bit more comfortable, more someplace that they're making a home, even if it's just for the moment, rather than just some house. Something to make this special in some way.
Indeed. I imagine Theodorus isn't tiptoeing, even if he's also not making a ruckus.
Right,
but I think it's enough. Yeah. I think it's enough noise for Sophia. You are the first to rise out of the three of you every night. But you hear movement in the house, and it's enough to be a startling reminder that you have guests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'll probably finish tidying whatever she needs to, at least in their immediate vicinity, and will exit the main suite of the home, shutting the door very gingerly behind her, and starts to make her way towards the origin of the sound, delicately, so as not to startle anyone else on her journey.
That's fair. Where is Theodorus about the time Sophia reaches him? Is he just about to make his exit out the door? Could this be that, or is he already outside?
I think he doesn't want to leave entirely this place before coming to plans with the others, so he is going to stay nearby. He probably would leave to go outside to get a better view of what's happening in the sky. So he would probably be outside looking up and very pensive about this abnormal occurrence.
It's probably worth noting, too, that the villa itself is very fancy for those that have never lived in any sort of form of, noble estate. It still is a noble estate. But for those with greater luxury, it's a quaint sort of place. Rustic would be a way to approach it. And I think, Sophia, you do see Theodorus out in the sort of estate grounds just outside,
Mhm.
peering upward.
Knowing internally, there's that sense of something's not quite right. There's some contention there with the beast, and she probably doesn't have the experience to identify it properly. But she can see him out in the darkness and squint slightly, and very quietly makes her way out to approach. And if he is involved in some sort of praise ritual or prayer or whatever, she's going to be very respectful and give him a little distance, wait until he's finished any recitations. But when he has reached either a pause or an end to his prayers, he can hear her approach more directly to stand beside him.
As you step outside, Sophia, and this is something Theodorus would have already experienced, you feel an almost immediate weakness to your physical form, as if it's very draining to be here. And as you see Theodorus looking up at the sky, you see the sun, but it's through almost these like darkened clouds. A good context might be the way the Upside Down looks in Stranger Things. It's like that weird ethereal cover to the sky, but there is a sun, clearly not the moon. It's the sun in the sky.
As she does leave the threshold, she flexes her hand, extending her fingers, trying to derive what this might be. This is the first time she's ever experienced anything even remotely similar. But when she is able to approach, she would look up at Theodorus and his uplifted gaze. Do you know what this is?
There's a long sigh as he hangs onto his walking staff, looking up. I fear that it is far beyond my understanding. And though I have seen many a days and many of nights, this feels wrong.
You feel it too? This sort of frailty?
I do feel older than I ever have been, but I'm not sure what it means. I feel tired, but we should not even be standing here, should we, Sophia? The sun is there in the sky.
She looks up, trying to make some sense of what she sees, and mulls over as much in silence for a few moments. Theodorus can watch her brow knit and confusion flicker across her features as she doesn't arrive at any meaningful conclusion. And so she turns back to him. I thought we weren't supposed to be out in the sun.
It seems we aren't still. And he gives a dry chuckle, but there's no real mirth to it. But this shouldn't be. Even if we can be out now and it may be beneficial to our kind, this cannot be good for the world. We need to see it reversed.
It's not good for the world.
If the sun is hidden from the land and from the people, its many blessings will go unheeded. Others cannot live without it, and we cannot live without the others. So is our curse.
Is this even something that's within our power to correct?
Theodorus is silent for a long moment, chewing something, his gray beard bobbing a little bit. Perhaps not right now, but there's always a way, God willing.
I think perhaps rousing Olivia might be of more use than we thought.
It would seem so, but I am no expert in the way our bodies handled traumas. Whatever happened the night before, we may be on our own. Do you... And he finally turns to look at Sophia. How long have you been like this? Do you have much experience at all in these happenings?
No, not at all. It's perhaps been a handful of months. This is the first time I've even really been around other kindred, other Canaanites.
And your creator, I know there are many terms for it, I've heard, but none of them seem to taste right when you speak it. Callias, did he do this to you? And Theodore's gesture is just in the general direction of Sophia, but it looks like he doesn't like what we are.
Mm-hmm.
And he considers it much more of like an affliction.
Yes. So that we could wander the world together for eternity. She seems very pleased by this. There's a quiet contentment there.
And I think Theodorus actually, he nods, contemplative. You had spoken to him before the change. Were you close before?
We hadn't known one another especially long, but yes, we did interact somewhat beforehand.
I'm guessing you were told about this world at least a little before joining it.
I don't think she was she? Sophia shakes her head. But she doesn't seem upset by this.
That response makes Theodore's his brows furrow a bit, but he doesn't say anything. He looks towards the ground for a moment. I see. But on what you said before, perhaps rousing the others is our next step here.
Yes. I'll see if I can rouse at least Callias and Adius as soon as possible.
With that, we cut over to Clovis, who may or may not already be awake. Mark, do you want to remind me for Light Sleeper, is there a quick mechanical piece to that you recall? If not, I can just wing it from a thematic perspective. You're muted too, by the way. So you know.
There, in fact, is Light Sleeper. When you rest, you retain a level of alertness beyond the norm. You wake at any unwanted disturbance in your environment, and therefore make it hard to surprise you while you sleep. You automatically succeed at any rolls to deter mundane attempts at surprise attacks while you sleep.
Playing on the narrative of it a bit, I think, sometimes when you have that really bad sleep, you kind of are aware of your surroundings the whole time, and you can just tell you're not getting deep sleep. That is today for you. It's like your body is half tempted to stay in the day sleep and half tempted to wake as if it were dusk again. And as you remain in that, you do hear footsteps and eventually kind of distant voices, like they're either in another room or nearby. You can't really hear what they're saying so much as just hear the echoes of them. Do you want to try and wake yourself, or do you want to sleep until your normal point? I'm not gonna, this isn't real time. We will skip forward. So.
I think he would rouse himself from this paranoid state of dream and reality and this horrible nightmare that afflicts him. He would attempt to rouse himself.
I'm going to get you to make a perception roll just by itself. The difficulty is, sorry, I had to do some math there. Difficulty is 3.
That was difficulty of 3, right?
Yep, correct.
That's 3 successes.
Normally, if you were to do this, it would sort of be enough to get up and you might be able to look around and be aware, but you would probably have to return to the day's sleep almost immediately after. You don't this time. You are able to stand, you're able to freely move about.
I'm guessing it's very different to the usual feeling he has when
It
it comes
is.
to working during the day.
The beast, as mentioned, is almost warning you that it's still, daylight. But there's something that doesn't, that feeling of fear in Rotrek, it seems to be almost non-existent, to the point I'm not making you roll.
He would then, make his way out of the area he has concealed himself in under the building. Also, do you want me to make that willpower roll for nightmares as well?
Yes, please.
It doesn't have a difficulty, so I assume it's standard difficulty? Unless you have something specific you want to give for it.
I'm good with standard. We're already punishing a lot here. We don't need to punish in addition to that. So,
that is... Yeah, that's like 6 successes.
6 successes.
Chill.
Okay. You have what is that willpower roll for? It's just for determining whether or not you're
I have a negative for the rest of the day.
right. Not from that. Yeah. Assuming you would end up going outside at some point, you will suffer from the same realities as the others, the sense of weakness in your physicality.
I think he would not cross the threshold into like the dim light. He would stick to the shadows as much as possible.
Not an unreasonable plan. We cut to, let's say, 80. I think perhaps this is Sophia rousing 80. Is that
Sure.
Yeah.
I think she kind of wakes with a start, almost as if she's about to scream, but seeing Sophia there, she calms fairly quickly.
Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm sorry, Lady Sophia. I did not mean to trouble you.
Sophia has her hands on either side of 80's shoulders, like gently, kind of, it's a comforting touch, steadying her slightly, and almost reflexively, because it really hasn't been that long. She just reach up and like rest the back of her hand against her forehead as if to check her temperature. Finds it cold, has that small recollection of her reality, of 80's reality, and returns her hands to that bracing stance at either side of 80's shoulder. How are you feeling?
Feeling all right. I just rolled my willpower, and that was 5 successes, so I assume I'm good.
Okay. Exactly. 3 or more is good. So.
Yep. Perfect. I'm doing all right. Is there anything I can help you with this morning, evening? What time is it?
I'm not sure of the time, but there's something strange going on outside. Father and I talked about it briefly this morning, and we're trying to rouse everyone and discuss how best to proceed. I'm worried about the implications.
Do you think it'll remain like this for some time? Or perhaps it'll pass quickly?
I wish there was a way to know.
What can I do to make your night, easier?
She lifts one of the hands that's resting at 80's shoulder and very gently cups her cheek with it for just a moment. It's fond and sweet, and she returns her hand very shortly after. I think if we can figure out what's going on, all of us might be having a bit of a better time. We can actually walk outside. It doesn't feel very good, but it's... Here, if she hasn't already gotten up, Sophia will help her up.
Yeah.
I'll show you. Oh, well, let's get Callius first. And she will take 80's hand, if 80 permits her to.
She will.
And they will go and do their best to... Well, Sophia's going to be very polite and wrap her knuckles on the door frame before she opens the door, more so out of habit, because if he is still very much unconscious, it's not going to matter. But she does it all the same for manners' sake. And does she hear anything in response?
Nothing.
She gives it a few seconds and does the very quintessential leans in slightly towards the door itself, but not hearing any feedback. She does open it and steps in. And he's still very much passed out.
He is. He usually wakes about an hour after you in the night.
How much time has transpired? Definitely not an hour.
No, but it's been 15 or 20, probably.
She probably... Oh, sorry, keep going.
Should perhaps a little bit more rest would be good for his melody.
Sophia had already begun to make her way towards the bedside, but she halts. And she turns and regards Edie thoughtfully. Perhaps. I think we're in a rather difficult situation. I think he's the only one who might understand what's happening. She seems torn for a moment, but I think she does go over and very gently try to jostle his shoulder.
Okay. I will do a quick roll just to see what happens here. Give me a second.
It's frenzy time.
Well,
Don't
that's
scare
not going to go
everyone.
very well for her.
Wow, that's a lot of ones.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
It's not as dramatic as you're probably thinking. It's he is in a deep sleep. You've had to rouse him awake before at times. You usually at least get something out of him. This is almost as bad as your domain holder. Almost as bad as Sister Macrina.
So she's gently... It's so gentle. But I think when she does jostle him, and there's no response. She gives it a second and kind of peers over to better check his face. Will take a finger and brush some hair out of the way to check and make sure nothing else is wrong. And I think she'll give him another jostle that's a little harder. And 80 might notice Sophia's features tighten a little bit. There's a slight glimmer of anxiety that starts to manifest in her posture, in her expression, and the way that started off with a very gentle jostle, and now we're reaching. It's getting a little bit more frantic.
80 will slowly kind of make her way up beside her. Is there something the matter?
Her little face flicks up towards 80, and it is like a panicked animal. He's not. She looks back down at Callius. Maybe he does need some more sleep.
Try him again and perhaps... No.
She looks long and hard at Callius, almost memorizing his features. She tucks coverlet back up around him, smooths his brow a little, and very reluctantly leaves with 80.
80, on the other hand, there's almost a small, like, release of tension in her shoulders as they leave his chamber, and she is much more relaxed. You are going to show me something outside.
Yes. She again kind of like takes her hand and they walk out to where she left Theodorus. And is he still out there?
I'll cut away. I'm just going to do an aside here with Theodorus and Clovis. So Clovis, you stand maybe in a window or the door, not outside. Theodorus, you are still outside at this point, yes? And you were going through, I want to make sure I got it right exactly what your next activity was. Were you going to go into prayer from there?
I think Theodorus was going to, from there, can we see, is this villa overlooking the town? Are we like higher up in elevation so that he can
It's quite flat, actually. What you observe immediately about the town is it's awfully quiet.
Okay. I think Theodorus would it probably looks like he's in prayer, but eyes closed, hanging on to his gnarled walking staff. But he's listening. He's actually using his abilities of Auspex to listen even further, because he's concerned about the sun, the world, and what the people might be feeling, their fear about this hanging darkness. And he's trying to come up with a plan to address all of these things.
Okay. As you extend your hearing outwards, you hear heavy breathing, like someone running, like someone sprinting or hustling. It's getting closer. As it gets closer, you hear the sound of a heavy heartbeat.
I think that makes Theodorus grip onto his staff even tighter, as he knows what pumps through hearts. And I don't know if we've established how hungry our characters may be, but regardless, Theodorus has to reassert control as he listens to the heart. But he also knows that Marcus should be returning sometime, so he's hoping that heart belongs to him if he's coming this way.
Why don't we establish feeding? That's a good call out. Sometimes I miss that. Here's the general setup. We have a couple people who have established life here. I think in all cases, we're going to roll simply 2d10, take the higher of the two, and you get to add a point for everyone who's been here for longer than like a day. Probably has a +1 to that.
What if we have heard? I mean, Theodorus has not been here long at all.
Yeah,
but he
if you have heard score, you can add that to your total points that you get. So if you have a +3, then you can simply add 3 to the end of whatever you roll. If anyone's crazy low, I might retcon it. So if someone ends up like, well, 2 1s, you know.
Yeah.
So the idea is for our blood pool, we would take the amount we rolled and then...
take the higher of the 2 dice. And then if you have heard or anything on top of that, add it. If you don't, add +1 to that. You said cool, like that was a bad thing. Did you roll bad?
Yeah, no, I mean, not... My highest roll was a 5, so...
Okay. So you would be at 6 if you don't have heard. Yeah. Which is not terrible, but you are probably in need of feeding. Like, you probably don't feed every night.
That's less than half for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably...
He's at 9.
Theo rolled really well and is at 12.
So it is probably a feeding night for you, Edie. We all have different ones. But before we focus in on that, Theo, that's going to be a low self-control roll because of not being too hungry, right?
Okay,
If you were,
yeah. I can roll some dice. So I got 1, 1, 3 6s for four dice for it. So
okay, that's not bad. Yeah, you managed to contain yourself well, and the source of this breathing can be heard as you see the ghoul from yesterday approaching quickly, looking behind his shoulders as he goes. He's got some kind of bound book in his hand, and he's moving quickly, but he looks afraid. He looks like he's not. He doesn't look like the athletic sort, so he's kind of doing that awkward like dad shuffle, as he runs.
right.
Oh,
If he becomes within view, Theodorus will hold up a hand in greeting.
Father. He looks back. Perhaps we can talk inside.
Of course, my child. Let us go.
As they make their way inside, the iron form of Clovis would meet them.
We'll kind of converge everybody at that point too, I think. So at that point we see, unless there's a bit you want to get out here, Clovis, first, because we haven't zeroed in on you too much here. Okay. So the group of us all enclose inside the villa, and you all see that Marcos, who you met last night, is indeed has a look of sort of being startled, a very wide-eyed, high adrenaline look, and he just looks beside himself a bit.
What is the matter?
The good news is I found in this, I haven't looked too much further into it, but there are notes for me should she ever fall into torpor, which is apparently what has happened to her by her description. He looks like he's in over his head. He's like, most of the town is locked away in their own houses by their own choosing.
And what are the soldiers doing, Marcus?
They've sealed away inside the fort. It's been an interesting day, to say the least. You see, and he kind of flips through the book and he finds the part. Clearly he's been at this for the better part of your sleep. As far as I can understand it, Develtus is normally very close to the Shadowlands. It seems this is where ghosts can be found. Wraiths is the description. The walls have been warded with ritual to prevent them from approaching. But they've been appearing inside the walls. I don't fully understand how that can be. I have the book. Perhaps it can be of some aid. Earlier today, we saw soldiers marching through the streets, but they were not living.
Not living. What do you...
In what regard?
I saw one walk through a wall. They appear as if they're not entirely corporeal. One soldier went to confront them and he paid the price with his life. So They're not entirely incapable of interacting with us or threatening us, which is why I was running, just to make sure I didn't encounter anything of the sort.
Walk among us.
Yes, the underworld. There was mention of the underworld in here, and he's like flipping through. You can tell he's way over his head as he's flipping through this.
Edie will kind of go over and try to see if she can help. Again, not an amazing reader, but will do her best to see if she can kind of carefully read through and at least cut down his workload. If she's not being rushed, she can probably make out a better amount of it.
Give me, just for entertainment, I'll take a wits and either wits and academics or wits and investigation.
Cool. I'll do investigation. Standard difficulty?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. 2 successes.
Okay. So you see him flipping through the book almost like in a panic state, and you see a drawing. That's what catches your attention, that he kind of moves past. It looks almost like a map, but, with notes on it, and he didn't catch it. He's just moving quickly through it.
Wait, there. What was that?
And
Go back.
he does so.
That it looks like a map, perhaps.
You see, I think anyone who's like close by, I think he's got this out maybe even on the floor or a low desk so everyone can observe, There's a map of Develtus and its immediate surrounding, hand-drawn. And almost, it's got the marker for north, there is almost like a darkened paint in a line that shows an overlap with the north wall, and it's done as almost like a bubble, like it's not a straight line. It's like some kind of amoebus sort of form. Yeah.
You said that she spoke of a shroud.
Yes, she said that it was thin here, and that is why she is caretaker here. But in her writing, she says that the walls are warded, so it prevents them from coming inside.
What would it feel like if those wards were to be broken?
Before we move away from the map, because he's about to flip, as in not flip out, but flip the pages, we see he's already flipping out, if we're honest. We see it's Develtus itself. The north is where there's that overlap with the amoebus form. There is the east road, which is what west road, which is what Theodorus came in on. So that's like the main entrance. And then there's also another south entrance. The north entrance is rarely ever used. I think you all know that. And outside of it, there's another marking on the map, and it says ossuary. As he flips the pages, you see him get to a point in the pages where it mentions the wall. This is some kind of ritual. You know that the Cappadocians are renowned for their necromancy. That is something unique to them for the most part, that they excel at. The ritual seems to be a binding to the walls. Involves quite a bit of blood and quite an extensive list. You get the impression that it's not something you could easily pull off, especially without someone to guide you. And that would be if you even had the components necessary for it. He looks up to everyone like, does anyone have any answers? This has been going on for a bit. Go ahead, Zack. I can tell you want to say something.
Yeah. So Theodorus has been apprehensive. So being a man of God and faith, his world was very black and white not too long ago, but now it's not, and he's kind of struggling. But I think he takes a deep breath despite not needing to breathe, and will take a step forward.
May I see? I'm not sure exactly what I can do, or what I will understand. I only know of heaven, hell, purgatory, perhaps, but this land of the dead shrouds, I'm not sure where it all fits in. But I can read, and read well, and I know prayers of protection. Perhaps they are similar.
Okay. You are a learned man, yes? You can read.
He can read, I'm sure, multiple languages. He's got academics and all that.
Perfect. I think we're going to get you to make an intelligence academics roll, as you have time to kind of flip through this, and others can participate. But actually, let's do that. Who is actively doing nothing but participating and assisting Theodorus here?
Sophia can't read. She's hanging out.
Yeah.
Lupus can read, so he'll probably help out. He is literate.
Seeing, I think she probably would have continued to help, but I do think that seeing that Sophia's kind of standing back, AD might go to kind of keep an eye on her.
Sophia would have gravitated. She's looking at 80 a lot for direction. If there's a mention of ghosts, she's looking at 80. If there's a mention of needing to read something, she's looking at 80. So she's very much taking her leads right now from her. So when she would have moved up to kind of give this text a closer examination, I feel like Sophia's little gravitational orbit switches and follows just slightly. She's not like right up next to her, but she's hovering at a distance. She's trying to be invested in what's going on, but she can't read.
Okay. We will cut back to Zack real quick for a roll. Why don't you give me a intelligence academics roll? Your difficulty will be 5, not 6, because Clovis is helping you.
All right, we got out of 6 dice, 2 successes. So
You are concentrating, but I will note the proximity in which Clovis is to you, and your mention of the smell prior.
yeah, I'm sure Theodorus is like reading through a few lines, and then he'll like clear his throat and more or less clearing his nose or attempting to.
Yeah.
Clovis would
Understood.
like pick up a piece of paper, and as he lets it go, there's like a black splotch on it where he touched it.
Yeah. Good times. So we're going to give you the source of that 2 successes here in a moment. But while you're doing the research and such, we cut over to Sophia and Adi, and as they're busy in focus, Callius's door opens. He
His little head
stands.
snaps up.
He stands
So
in the
does-
doorway. Oh, go ahead.
80s does too, but probably with less enthusiasm.
Head snaps up negative. Head
Yeah.
snaps up positive.
Oh yay! Oh no! Yeah. Yeah. He looks. He looks like he normally would any other night, save for a look of being very fatigued, which is not something that usually Canaanites display physically. But there is certainly some level of pain to him. And he looks out. Oh, we should ready the things and leave here. We should go.
Sophia nods. And she goes upstairs and starts to get her things. No hesitation.
I think with that, Clovis would turn to Callius and would say, "You are abandoning this place."
It has its caretaker. I have no use to it.
What if it spreads? This covering of the sky will be the death of everyone.
Yeah, I think he turns and there's a look, and I'll give everyone who cares to like a perception empathy roll. This is one less difficulty 6, one less for 80.
2 successes.
4 successes.
I got 2 as well.
I think it's pretty safe to say for everyone that he is set on getting out of here. And there doesn't seem to be much to convince him otherwise currently taking place. You know, he sees you all over a book and the ghoul, and that's what's going on. But I think for 80 with the 4 successes, you watch his eyes follow Sophia, and that's about all he cares about. Getting himself and Sophia out of here. He doesn't care whether you're going to join him or anyone else. It's a selfish act. You got that with 4 successes. So.
She'll kind of glance to him, glance to the others. Excuse me, I must attend. My lady, I will. We should consider, though, before we leave, look at this place, the caretaker. She is sorry.
There you go. Yeah, you're good.
She would kind of turn to Callius. Is there something that we should do for Olivia while she is no longer awake? Something might happen here that might impact our kind outside of here?
I think that appealed to his hospitality. I mean, he is a toreador after all. He's sighs to himself. She should at least be returned to her haven. We should see to that much. And he looks to Marcos, and he says, she will be entrusted to you to keep her safe.
I will stay as well and see to Sister Olivia's health.
Very good, he says. There's no are you sure? It's just...
Right, yeah.
Someone else volunteered.
Someone
I'm
took it
absolved.
over.
Thank God.
Perfect, a volunteer.
80 is going to kind of curtsy and run in to find Sophia.
So you move through the villa to find Sophia. And as you round the corner, you see someone who you haven't seen since your nightmare. Your brother. And with that, we're going to take our first break.
Brother, you're alive.
Boy. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's kicker here.
And before 80 is her brother, looking similar to how he did just days before his death. Sister? Where am I? Where is this place?
Fortress Town, Develtus. How are you here? She'll kind of reach out towards him.
Do you touch? Do you make contact or attempt to?
I think she would just almost, and then I think stop, assuming, how does he look incorporeal?
I think without making you roll, you see a bit more light through him than ought to be. So it's not entirely like he's not here, but you're able to distinguish the difference, especially after Marcos's description prior.
kind of stop just before touching him. What is the last thing you remember?
I remember the soldiers coming. What you've just done, 80, has reminded him of his death, something he hadn't fully come to terms with yet. As you see his eyes widen, and there's a look of a mixture of anger, vengeance, confusion. We cut away in that moment to Theodorus, who was at the book. Flipping through the pages, there's a lot to learn in here, actually. It's quite interesting if you had the time, given your immediate needs. Prioritizing. Flipping through the book, you find pages that reference the shroud. They speak of the nearness of our realm, which she refers to as the corporeal realm. But there's also a strange combination reference to skinlands. And it seems by her description that this shroud seems to separate the skinlands from the shadowlands. And in some places in the world, it's thinner than others. And this happens to be apparently one of those places. But that's the day-to-day of Develtus.
Right. Theodorus will point these lines out and probably say them aloud to Clovis as we're both going through it. But Theodorus is quickly, especially with knowing that his fellows might be leaving, and that leaves us at a weaker position. He's trying to get to the solutions part, the solutions chapter of rebuilding the shroud and reinforcing it, because he's not sure how much time we have.
We watch as you flip through quickly, shuffling through, and you find a section that says, "Should the Shroud Grow?" is the title of it. Or perhaps I should rephrase that as an ST, because the shroud being thicker would be a good thing. Should the shroud thin is what it says. And at that point, I want to see with 80 what you're going to do and how loud you're going to do this. As your brother looks like he's ready to attack someone, something, he's about to lose his cool.
This sounds super crazy, but I think her first instinct is going to be to sing. Probably something that would have been familiar to them, like a lullaby that they would have heard when they were younger, and to try to calm him down, because this is how she's been able to seemingly supernaturally calm other people down.
Okay. So why don't you give me a roll for how you do in performance, maybe?
Mhm.
With charisma, I'm assuming, is what you're supposed to do for that. And while that's happening, well, actually, let me see what the roll outcome is. It'll be better to decide what Sophia hears and what the others hear. Yeah.
Difficulty?
Difficulty's 7. He's angry.
And I think I will spend a willpower for this as well.
Reasonable.
With willpower, it's 3 successes. 2 of them are 10s. I don't know if that does anything for you, but...
Understood. All of you begin to hear 80 sing. It echoes kind of outward for Theodorus and Clovis and Callius. But for Sophia, I mean, she was coming to get you. She is like a room or 2 away. And you heard her talking. You heard like muffled voices not far away. But you hear her start to sing. You're almost packed, if you're doing the quick throw everything in to luggage and get going, whatever the equivalent 8th century version of luggage is. If you're doing that, what do you do as you hear the soothing voice?
I think the voices wouldn't have given her much pause, but she associates the singing with Callius having a headache. And so she does emerge, because he'd also had a very hard time rising earlier. And so our concern is peaked a little. And she does move in the direction of 80.
I'll cut back to Theo and Clovis in a second, but because you'll hear the singing too, it might not come off very alarming from where you're at.
Mhm.
We can decide that. But as you enter, Sophia, you see 80 standing before an unknown figure who looks very emotionally on the edge, let's say, almost violent. Just to give you one more piece of intel that'll be useful. As you kind of come into the room, you see this figure, and then you realize you're kind of almost seeing through the figure to see 80. Like you know, the person isn't entirely transparent, but you can see a bit of 80 through them.
When Sophia rounds that line of sight, she freezes immediately. Not only is this not Callius, but I think she's intelligent enough, empathetic enough to pick up on 80's distress as an umbrella term, of the grief of so much emotion being wrapped up in this singular moment. So Sophia freezes. She makes eye contact with 80, if 80 is looking her direction at all, and is somewhat trying to feel out the situation. Ghosts are 80's realm.
She's singing. I think she would be looking. He's seeing us and see through him a bit, and seeing Sophia around the corner.
We're losing you a little bit on the mic, or maybe that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Is this better?
Yeah.
Better.
Yep.
Okay. As she can kind of see Sophia through her brother, she'll kind of glance that way and make brief eye contact with her. You can see that she is definitely it's the expression of someone who would be crying, probably blood tears a little bit in her eyes. And she just kind of gives you a very small nod, kind of just what she would be trying to communicate with her gaze would just be just stay back for your safety.
Sophia can pick up on the hesitation there. This does not appear to be a social interaction, something at least she is practicing, that seems to have an amenable, easygoing nature. So she stands there, and she's trying not to make too much noise, but she doesn't necessarily depart. This doesn't look like it's entirely a safe situation to be in either. And abandoning 80 to this, despite it being within, at least according to Sophia, 80's realm of expertise. So I think she's going to kind of gesture at the figure and communicate silently, with a shrug of her shoulders, and held up, out, palms up, what necessarily could be done.
How is he reacting to the...
So the good news is he does not know. He's not startled by anything else. The music is quelling him, his emotions. And music has a way of bringing back memories too, right? And I think that's happening right now. And I think he reaches out to you as he calms gently. And you can feel it's not really his hand. There's no skin, there's no blood, there's nothing to warm it, but you feel his touch in the palm of your hand. And he looks at you and he says, "I'm sorry. I have to go."
Do not be sorry. You gave everything for me. Brother, I will see you in the next life.
You hear, as he sort of goes entirely incorporeal and vanishes. You hear almost a breath on the wind where he commands you to live, unknowing what you are, and knowing that that is far too late for what you've become. Perhaps you can find some meaning in existing, even if you aren't living.
And I think as he disappears, she kind of just sinks to her knees. And Sophia, you wouldn't have seen this much raw emotion on her. She's been very guarded, very practiced smiles. The only time you've seen her probably at all like this was those weeks when she was not very conscious after being embraced.
Sophia moves very quickly. That almost blurred line between what would be a very chill with the masquerade pace and the supernatural. And I don't know if she manages to catch Adie before she falls, but she does envelop her in a hug and will hold her through her grief. She might not be very good at many things, especially in life, but this she understands.
At that, I'm going to just do a quick check-in. This is why Wraith is a bitch. It is like the bleed game times 104.
This means I'm having a good time.
Yes, I know. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I want to, I always want to check in with, it turns out dealing with ghosts in games like this, spirits of your loved ones, it triggers real feelings sometimes. So, yeah. We cut back down at that point to those who are flipping through the book. You see notes, and I'm going to give you one more academic roll. If Clovis is still helping, difficulty 5. You heard the singing for a moment, by the way, but it just seemed to calm, and it was like a soothing song. Callius closes his eyes, sort of like he's stimming as it's happening.
All right. Yeah, Theodorus probably stops for a moment, but, they're off packing. Maybe they're doing a packing song. He's not very concerned for the distant singing. I got 3 successors on the roll.
You digging through this reference, digging through should the shroud thin, it pretty much covers this scenario, though perhaps not the day going dark, all that is unwritten territory. But what you're seeing here is the risk that things should thin more, and that the shroud should then push into the boundary of the town past the ward itself. So what happens if the town, if they can manifest right inside the town, can they bypass the wall? So it might not be that the wards are no longer active. The spirits might be forming or manifesting right here inside. And the reference in the book is that the ritual must be performed at the ossuary. And it even lays out what will happen when the ritual is done, which is the spirits will begin to manifest there instead, which will keep them outside of the wall and by this place time. One problem with that, you don't see a ritual in this book.
Oh, good. I think getting to those last few lines, Theodorus will do that slightly frustrated flip from page, the front of the page, and then turn back, and then to the front. His brow furrows.
I don't see it here, Clovis. It speaks of some kind of ritual. Where's Marcos?
Is Marcos still there, panicking or whatever? Okay.
He's doing that awkward hover over you do when people are doing important work, but you don't know how to participate. He's doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Theodorus will calm himself to not spread any further panic to Marcos, but he will look to the man and say, Marcos, you're Olivia. Is this the only tome that she had, or was there more of a collection?
Did you keep a private library? Or anything of the sort?
Well, there's a library in the chapel.
Is that one open more to the public, or was this something she kept away?
It's in her quarters.
We should check.
I can take
next.
you there if you'd like. I can take you there.
It seems we will have to go there. This is sadly incomplete with what we need, I believe.
Okay.
I think at this point, Clovis will look over at Callius. Does it look like she's even really paying attention?
No, he looked like I think the song's probably just coming to an end now. He was like I said, stimming off it. Like it's how he keeps whatever's going on at ease. You guys watched that, the first episode, I believe, it was 80s singing that seemed to soothe him.
Clovis would kind of whisper to Theodore and would say, do you think we truly need the Elder for what needs to be done here?
He'll whisper back,
I don't know what we need at this point. I'm not sure what troubles we'll have along the way, but it doesn't seem like he would know more than us at this point. None of us are experts in this.
True.
However, it seemed like he wants to leave. We can warn him about the spirits, but we can't force him to go anywhere he doesn't want.
Can bargain with him.
and Theodorus just lets it hang in the air for a second. Wheeling and dealing, politicking. He left that life when it was back in the church long ago.
It was just a thought. Nothing more.
Still a good one.
He considers and then turns to Callius if he's still coherent.
We'll say it's about this point this song comes to an end, and so he sort of opens his eyes up. He appears more calm because that just happened.
Callius, your departure from Develtus. You may be, as we have heard a report from Marcos, spirits walk or float, or I'm not sure, but best be careful on your departure. It may be best to solve this issue before leaving.
For my safety and Sophia's, he says.
And Theodorus nods slowly.
It seems as though the spirits can affect us. Marcus told of a guard killed. Now, I know we are different than mortals, but we have no idea what is outside the villa.
Indeed be dangerous for your child there.
I'm going to roll something real quick. He hesitates. So what countermeasure do we have then? To sit here and hope that she wakes up eventually? I'm sure she will. Eventually. He's a little less polite without Sophia here at the moment. Not that he lacks it all together, but you're really, he had a plan. He wanted to get the hell out of here, and you're countering that.
The tome here speaks of a ritual, describes the situation happening, but the ritual itself, we believe, may be with Olivia's other collected works.
And the ritual would stop all of this.
It would contain the spirits of those dead in a place where they could no longer hurt us if we were to leave. If you were to leave.
He looks like he's torn, and I think he nods. It's reasonable then. I think maybe at that point, Edie and Sophia are wandering down to hear him say that's reasonable.
As they come down the stairs, Sophia is going to at least attempt to have her arm about Adie's shoulders, kind of steadying her a little. And for her part, looks a little distressed.
Adie is definitely off her game. She's like definitely letting Sophia comfort her. Her eyes are red and she just is quiet. If she could be paler, she would be paler.
Sophia steers them immediately for Callias, and their approach is somewhat hurried, unless Adie has any contention with it.
No, she's very much just letting Sophia lead her right now. She's kind of staring.
So Sophia beelines for Callias, and if he turns to regard her, there was a man in the hall.
He looks confused at that.
I don't think he was real.
He was real, but he was not alive. Or even whatever we are, he died months ago. And now he is departed from this realm.
I think Callias has a look of surprise, kind of astonishment, and a bit of concern. He's not someone that shows. You've probably seen more like negative or difficult emotions from him than you have ever in this range. This is outside of what he does. This is something he can't talk his way out of or control in one way or another. And that gives him a sense of helplessness as he looks to Sophia, and he says that my jewel, the father here and the paladin, they found something. It would help us leave safely. The only trouble is we have to find this ritual. You said ritual, right, Zack? I want to make sure I didn't metagame that part. Okay.
He would have used whatever term would be used in the book.
Yeah. A ritual.
A ritual?
He doesn't know, so he kind of motions to Father Theodorus.
Theodorus kind of takes over with a small smile to give confidence, but he himself doesn't have much confidence in it.
A tradition that should have effect over the dead, the shroud, this corporeal realm of ours, and this so-called Skidlands.
She just blinks at the term. But it will correct the sun.
We do not know if such things are caused by one another or simply a coincidence.
I think as Clovis speaks, Adie kind of looks up for the first time and kind of turns her gaze toward him and just kind of, it lingers there for a while, and she'll kind of squint.
The masked face would turn to look at you for like a second before it turns back to the conversation.
She doesn't say anything. She continues to study you.
Point is, this could be our solution. But we must find this ritual first.
Do we have means to do that?
We hope to find both the details of this ritual and more at the personal library of Sister Olivia. Marcos here can show us. However, the end location to perform this ritual is in the ossuary. So we have 2 locations to go to.
Well, if that will rid us of at least These apparitions. She looks at Callius, more for permission than anything.
He doesn't seem reluctant this time. He nods. The father had a good point. If these spirits of the dead can harm us, it might mean that our exit will be with problem or trouble if we don't try to do something. I can promise no more than at least seeing if we can locate this ritual. Where is the ossuary located?
Theodorus will flip back to the map and he will point it out with a wrinkled finger and tap.
It is not far, but there is strength in numbers. If it does come down to conflict, we are safer together for the time.
Conflict?
Here, there's a kind of a grim nod.
The spirits they can affect us and those around us. There are already those who have died in the
Callius, do you carry weaponry here in your estate?
I have, sorry, go ahead.
You intend to fight an apparition with weaponry?
If I have no other way.
It won't work. Swords cannot do everything, you know.
They can do enough.
What should we be doing then? She's got her arm around Adie and kind of like having this conversation very close.
Back there, in the home, spirit I saw was my brother. He was angry when he was reminded of his end.
Cutting out a little.
We're losing your voice again.
He was angered when he was reminded of his end. But the song of our childhood seemed to quell him. Perhaps there are ways that the spirits can be quelled. Perhaps there are tinctures or charms of some kind that can be used to ward against them, but I do not know how much steel will do. Perhaps there is something in Olivia's writing.
So you need Sing to keep them at bay?
I don't know if it will work on all of them. It worked on my brother because I knew a song from our childhood. I could try it on more of them. It seems to do something to calm people down, but I don't know how far-reaching the effects will be of my voice alone.
If it's all we have for now, then we make use of it.
Very good then, Father. You could lead the way. Callius says. He sounds a little like there's a brush of impatience is what it is that's kind of leaking out there.
And Theodorus will nod and close the book, and we pack it away. As he will get his staff and start walking and say,
let us hope that the Lord leads the way this night.
And Theodorus also is not one to wait around at this point. After hearing what Marcus said, people could be dying as we talk this over.
Okay. Walking through the streets, it does feel like, I was about to say ghost town, but that's going to give a different direction. It feels very empty, but there are flashes and sightings of the dead returned. None familiar, and they don't seem focused on you. Probably best that be the case.
I think as they're passing through, AD, kind of reflective, will say quietly to Sophia, when he first appeared, my brother didn't seem to know that he was that he was dead. It wasn't until I reminded him of his last moments that he became aware of the state he was in. I see the shades that walk the streets here, and I think perhaps they are going about what they remember their days to have been when they walked the earth alive.
Sophia is nodding along as Adi informs her of this, and I'm sure the three of them, because Sophia is plastered next to Callias, and I'm sure Adi is with Sophia.
Perpetually.
So there's just three of them in a row. And she has a thoughtful expression. She nods. So we pretend to go about our normal endeavors. We can do that. And I'm assuming that Callias is also close enough that he can hear this conversation. She will look over at him and kind of visually confirm that with him and nod as well. Everything gets a little stamp of Callias approval on it.
He gives a nod. He looks calm now. I mean, perhaps not when you walk by the ghosts, but when you're walking through the streets, he's kind of recomposed himself. As we get with Marcos beside Father Theodorus, we reach the Chapel of St. Michael and heading inside to the private chambers of our host. He opens a locked door to reveal the library beside. It's a series of scrolls, not bound books, just scrolls at this point. It's not massive, it's not something. It would be difficult for it to be gigantic. It's probably a couple dozen scrolls. Why don't we gloss past this point with a simple wits or perception and investigation? I'm going to let everyone do this. Difficulty will be 7, except for Clovis for certain reasons where it will be 5.
What was it roll again?
Perception or wits plus investigation.
1 success.
She doesn't fail anything, but she doesn't have any successes.
3 successes.
Did you say the difficulty was 7?
7 for you, yeah. 5 for Clovis.
Yeah. Okay, 1 success.
Okay, 5. Perfect. That's what we needed. So as you kind of look through, you're looking for perhaps a scroll that stands out amongst the others, without sitting there and reading everyone, all taking your own route for it. Clovis, being a Nosferatu as he is, starts to put his foot on the floor a couple times and then bends down and puts his ear to it, does it again. And then he starts to maneuver around it and he pulls free what looks like a false floor. Inside of it is a box. And inside of that is a scroll.
You pick up the box like it weighs nothing, placing it down and opening it up to get the scroll.
Okay.
Does it have a seal, or is it just like a rolled up piece of paper?
It is sealed with the coat of arms of Clan Cappadocian.
He would delicately take the seal up as to not break it, which does not look for his large metal-bound fingers.
Question for Clovis. How much has your armor changed over time?
Probably not too much. It's mostly just gotten older, more weathered. There's that kind of odd look every once in a while of something that looks almost like dirt or old blood is kind of caked in some of the joint areas. But other than that, it's still the same armor.
The crying, screaming thing is the same?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Noted.
So you peel it open and you look, and this seems to match what was proposed. A quick glance, you see that this involves letting loose the blood of the ritual owner across basically the train of the ossuary.
So it's the person who... Is it the person who originally started the ritual, or is it who starts the ritual?
You can give me an occult roll for that one.
Let me check something.
If not, you
I
can
do
always...
not have a cult.
Okay. I will do a quick check-in. Does anyone here have occult?
I have 1 dot of occult, and that's simply because of his new life in this world and trying to figure it out as an academic would, and to
Sure.
study the enemy.
Well, why don't we get you to do a quick wits and occult? Wits because we'll do intelligence or wits, your choice. I like to do that where possible.
All right, we'll do intelligence of 5 dice. What was the difficulty?
Difficulty is 6.
Just 1 success.
Okay. You could interpret it either way, and that's the scary part for you. Like, you're not sure, does this mean that this needs to be your host's blood, the Cappadocian's blood, or can this be done by the one holding the ritual?
Theodorus will mention that, shaking his head as he looks over the ritual as well.
I'm not completely sure. Perhaps it could be either. And I don't think we should take any from Sister Olivia, nor that she probably has any. If there needs to be a sacrifice in blood, I will give it.
Not alone.
You have enough to complete the ritual.
Theodorus squints, looking at the texts again. Does it give an indication of how much blood, or is there like an amount, or it just says the train, so I guess we won't know until we get there?
Sorry, could you repeat that part? I missed that last question.
Does it give an indication of like how much blood would be needed, or is that something we would find out when we get there?
You have the measurements of the ossuary, and it's meant to be like the description of it is that it's supposed to sort of shape the place, but you can't imagine that being. No one would have a quantity where they could like paint the outline of it, right? So it's probably close enough to map out the place. That's your best guess.
So just so I can have a visual, is this like 20 people's worth of blood, or?
So if you had to like actually paint a line around this thing, you would guess it would be like 20 people's worth of blood. Probably your guess is by how it's described and in her notes, the pacing, 1 pace, let blood, 1 pace, let blood. It probably doesn't, it's more like a dotted line, I guess would be a way to think of it, right? It's like a pace between each let of blood.
Okay, so he would need a lot more than what he has.
No, because you're not letting out large quantities each time you bloodlet. So theoretically, you could do it, yeah.
Okay. Theodorus comes to the best conclusion he can as he shakes his head.
I believe I would have enough. If I'm reading this correctly, and everything goes as planned.
Good then. Callius sighs and looks over to Sophia and the others, then to the ossuary.
Yes, to the ossuary.
Go ahead.
Theodorus is kind of hesitant for a second as perhaps we're leaving. He looks to Clovis like he was about to say something, but stops himself and instead gets closer to Clovis to whisper, to keep it between them two, and says,
I will need a favor, Paladin, when we are doing this ritual.
Those are dangerous words for one of our kind, Father. But I will hear you out first.
I have been told that a shard of wood is how we are stopped if it is sent through the heart. Is this true?
Pauses for a moment. Yes. I have heard of it much, but I have only seen it in person once. 'Tis not a pleasant sight.
Doesn't sound like one, but I had a friend tell me of it. And so I made this.
And he will pull out of a satchel a sharpened stake.
As you go to pull it out, Clovis just puts a hand on your hand to stop you from pulling it out. Just immediately, just...
Theodore will stop and say,
This I need to give to you to use on me at the end of this ritual. Using the blood that I have, I may be hungry afterward, and that call for blood may be too much. It is safer for everyone if I do not fall to that temptation, despite my best efforts. And this is
You
a guarantee.
Your own life in my hands.
For what my life is worth. I know it's not much, but I would.
If it is necessary, Father, I will do as you have asked.
and Theodorus will nod and slowly remove the stake to hand it over.
He would take it in very much a way of trying not to let others see what he has been given.
Yeah, Theodorus is not good at like palming items, so they might see. Maybe we could roll.
They might see. I mean, like, Clovis has rather big hands. A good chunk of it is like metal and like the cloth underneath.
Callias is distracted, so I'm not going to have him roll. I will say it's a bit more difficult. Why don't we go with a difficulty 8 for perception alertness if either Sophia or 80 care to roll. You don't have to. You just simply say that you didn't see it.
As a note for those with Auspex, you can lower the difficulty equal to your Auspex score.
It's true. It's true.
3 successes. This is like the best roll I've had all game.
Yeah. You see it. It looks suspicious because I think they're trying to like hide it.
Yeah.
You know, Clovis was certainly trying to hide it. You know, I don't think they whistle after, but you know, it's got that it's got that vibe to it. Right.
I mean, the vibe was like the vibe even of Clovis just like putting his hand over it when he tried. It was like you're about to pull out like a gun in a in an airport.
Yup.
But Theodorus will hand it over and nod and say,
I will owe you a debt, Clovis, and you are the best at arms, as far as I'm aware. You will have the best chance if things get unplanned.
Very well. I accept your debt as a formal boon, or formal boon.
Theodorus nods, probably not knowing completely what that means, but he'd rather pay a boon than what would happen if it got out of hand.
Okay. We watch, I assume, as the group, the 4 player characters with Callias and with Marcos all move to the ossuary. I should note that exiting the north gate, there is a lot of spectral activity. Not spectral, I shouldn't say that word, because specters have their own meaning in World of Darkness. There's a lot of ghost activity here. But sticking to the plan of not drawing too much attention to yourself, they sort of ignore you as you wander to the site. You find the ossuary easy enough. This was, after all, a site for veterans of the early Roman Empire, hundreds of years ago. It is a rectangular shape. Being careful to only take a pace and love that each time will take a bit of time.
And Theodorus will do it. I think he's kind of afraid too. This isn't he's afraid on multiple fronts, both physically and spiritually, because he is a man of God, and now he's doing godless rituals. But I think as he's doing it, he's probably whispering prayers to the Lord as well, just to give himself a bit of soothing and confidence in knowing that this will save lives as far as he's aware.
With that, I'm going to go ahead and give you a roll here. I'll accept a self-control or courage, but I'll lower the difficulty down to 5 for you, since you're entwining yourself in your faith. Just to stay, there's a lot of activity out here, and you're not experienced enough as a Canaanite to really have encountered this sort of thing before. / has anyone? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Self-control then would probably be his strong suit. What difficulty?
6, so minus that. I should establish by now, too, there is no more sun in the sky. It is likely night once again, not that it's changed that much.
So, 1 success. Theodorus is barely pulling through.
You're just trying to stay with it and focus as you're letting the blood. And every time you let the blood, you get a flashback. You remember the massacre. You remember your hunger. You remember your revenge. And every time you let loose blood, you get that much closer to letting the beast free once more. As you round the first corner and move into the second, Callius falls to the ground on all 4, and he starts to almost like grunt, like something is paining him now, as he's kind of in the mud, something he would never be caught alive doing if he could help it.
Sophia's immediately on her knees, one arm over his back, very gingerly. The touch is feather light so as not to agitate him. And she is trying to ascertain what is going on.
Lowers his hand, goes under his coat, and rests on the stake that he has been given.
Sophia, because you're so close to him, you look and you see at the side of his face the form of another face pushing at the edge, trying to break free. So close to the Shadowlands, perhaps even within them.
She breezes. There is not a single ounce of movement in her entire body. And I think all she can do is glance up at... I think she might be too afraid to alert anyone else. And there is just... Again, if there were color to drain from her face, it would have been... She looks... absolutely astounded, shocked, dismayed.
Will immediately go to her and sit down beside where she is and try to assess the situation.
Sophia takes her hand and very gingerly, trying not to brush her fingers against Callius's face, but still move his hair away so that 80 can see. But she does attempt to do so in a way that it is a veiled gesture for the remainder of their group.
You see his skin on his face just start to stretch outward, almost tearing at the skin and pulling away from his face as whatever this is inside him tries to separate itself from him. And we shift at that point to a flashback of Clovis. You just returned from battle. Your younger sister, maybe age 8 at that point, arrives. She comes running up to you, wraps her arms around you, and as you're walking back with her, she says, "I made you something."
Is that so?
Hmm.
Tell me, what did you make for me? He says with a smile.
It's a bracelet. I thought you could wear it. It'll help to keep you safe when you're out at war. She says, like, nervously, as she hands this to you.
Takes it. This is a beautiful creation you've made. Puts it around his wrist. I promise that I'll never take it off. It'll always be with me.
And she says your name. What is your name?
His true name is Godwin.
She wasn't supposed to be home the night you decided to take revenge on your family. She was supposed to be off for learning at the capital. But unbeknownst to you, she was sent home early. And it wasn't till the end of things that you learned this. As we zoom back in on you, Clovis, do you have the bracelet? Do you still wear it to this day?
I think around the wrist where the armor is the same bracelet, but caked in mud and black blood. But he has not taken it off. Not since that day.
As we zoom back in, and there's this chaos, there's this battle for Father Theodorus with himself, knowing what he could become at the end. There is something trying to break free, or perhaps someone, from Callias. And for Clovis, just behind you here, Godwin
Slowly begins to turn around. The iron mask expressionless, but the eyes that can just peek out from behind it. These red, almost like the extent of like blood has like flown into the eyes, and there's just these little pupils left and a red murkiness.
As you turn to see her, your sister, her hair is darker than you remember it. Her mouth is wide, almost all the way to the edges of her jaw. And there's a look of pure disgust, pure vengeance and hate. Your sister is no longer a wraith. She's a specter. And she's come here by her tether to you to enact her revenge. And with that, we'll end the second of 3 sessions of Days of Darkness.
Adjust my brows in Mass Effect. Are you telling me I can't do it here? Stop jump scaring me! Thorn whip? Oh, that looks cool, but I don't want the creature to come up into my business. I don't like people being up in my business.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Right in the butt.
My heart.
If you had to tailor a charm person to people, that would be mine. In perfectly drow fashion, he was in a combat situation against her, and she said, "Don't kill that one. That one's mine." Look at this boy! This one's mine.
neep. That's my air horn. Okay. Holy smokes. Thank you again, everyone. And as always, we hope that you live your best selves in your mortal roles. We will see you next time. Ciao. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wow, you guys. Wow.
Oh my god.